The money will come as long as you put the people first.
Welcome to the Council of Dudes podcast. I'm your host, Vinny Brusco. I am a father, a husband, the founder of Agora Social Club, a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a certified life coach, and a facilitator of the Council of Dudes men's group. This podcast is here to help you tap into and follow your golden thread, that feeling that pulls you forward to become the best version of yourself. If you're someone who's into personal development and self-help and is looking to live a life of more alignment, then this is the podcast for you. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification button, and follow along on the journey of the show.
What's up, guys? This is Steve Padernacht, and I'm here with the Council of Dudes podcast. Make sure you check them out on all channels, and this was an amazing experience.
And here we go.
So first off, thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming in. We've been talking about doing this for a while, prior to your wedding,
Yep.
which congratulations on.
Thank you very much.
And then I was coming to do your podcast, and I was in the basement with my son doing an art project, and my wife and my daughter left the house, and you'd text me like, "Hey man, just want to make sure we're still good." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to get going and gonna head up, whatever." And I go up my stairs, and my daughter had locked me in the basement. And I had no external house keys. Even if I left through the garage, I couldn't even get into the house. And I sent you the video because I was like, this is the lamest excuse ever.
The dog ate my homework.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I was like, this dude's going to think I'm such a dick. And I felt so badly about it. I know
There was a fleeting moment.
Yeah. It went in and out.
There was a fleeting moment where I was like, yo, what's up with this guy?
Is he serious right now? What the fuck? And then I was like, and I sent you the video. I'm like, look, I'm legitimately locked in my basement. So I hope that added some validity to the actual story.
It did, and very comical, but it did. And what I did was I just pivoted at that moment. I said, all right, cool. You know what? We were planned for this, so now we just got to figure something out. We're here now. So what I did was I actually have an episode coming out with Claudio, the producer from Kai Vision.
Perfect.
So I'm interviewing him, which is something that is very outside his norm and or zone of comfort.
Right.
So it turned out well.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important, and I know we'll dive into some of the things you're doing outside of just the podcast, but I think, we both have sales backgrounds. I did automotive sales for 16 years, right? So I think that's something that this pivot becomes one of the most essential lessons you can learn from sales. And I would say to the sales team that I worked with all the time, whatever group I was working with, I'd say, nothing's nothing till it's something. Right?
That's a good one.
People don't know there's a problem unless you're wearing the problem. If you're just, this is how it goes. This is how it works. They just acquiesce to what you're doing. But if you're like, oh shit, it's not ready, and this oh man, I'm freaking out, then guess what? They're gonna pick up on very, very quickly. Energy.
I'm gonna do something that I don't know how common this is, but I saw this morning and I want to share it with you because I posted it on my IG. And I know I'm messing up the shot here, but look at this. So it says 8 things non-sales
I saw you both.
will never understand.
Let's run through them because I think it's important.
Extreme income swings reality. Some days some days you earn big. Other days you'll grind all day and make nothing. Confident even when broke. You feel broke yet confident because you know one call can change everything instantly. Anxiety comes from untapped potential.
I love that one. That one is amazing.
Normal jobs feel like limits. You actually enjoy the pressure. Rejection feels normal now. Emotional highs and lows daily. This is important for me. And nothing matches this career. Those 8 idiosyncrasies, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. When I saw this, I related to it so much because it's exactly how I go through my day.
Yeah.
The highs, the lows, you just got to stay here.
Yeah.
Income swings, super confident even when broke. Those sort of lessons I feel like only come from sales.
Yeah, I saw you posted that. I was reading them this morning quickly, and they're spot on.
Yeah.
They are so spot on. And I think the one that hits me pretty hard is the anxiety from untapped potential. Right? There's something, I get it, right? Yeah. I get it. it's something about that, like in sitting in that. I was talking to a mentor of mine, and we were talking about the things I do, and he's a career coach, and he amazing guy. And he said, that is your relaxing. Your relaxing is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't sit on the couch, like here and there, whatever, with the kids or wife, whatever, of course. But 9 out of 10 times, if I sit on the couch, the kid's like, "What? Everything okay?"
Yeah.
I don't do that because that is how I relax. The doing, the creating, the constant going.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's a healthy way to live, but it also has its benefits.
I go through the same exact thing with my wife, and she's like, "Why don't you just relax?" And I'm like, "I am relaxed. Like I'm chilling. I'm good, but there's stuff that has to get done. So like if we're just gonna not do what we need to do, like the dishes, for example, I am a dish fanatic. You don't go to sleep with dishes in the sink." And that comes from my growing up in the Bronx in an apartment building with 50, 60 other apartments around us. My mom and dad were like, "Listen, if you don't do the dishes, then we're going to get roaches." And then it just became a thing where it's like, as I got older, it was like, you don't go to bed with dishes in the sink. So like, that's like one of my things. And she'll be like, "Oh, I'll do the dish in the morning." I'm like, "No, you know what? I'll just do it now."
Right.
And like, the constant doing for me is relaxing. She's like, you're doing the dishes. I'm like, yeah, it's relaxing for me.
Yeah.
Like, because it soothes my, what is it? My OCD.
Right.
And that OCD is not always positive, but it's just who I am, and it's hard to change that.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a certain level of compromise and with yourself, really. I mean, your circumstances, of course, but it really becomes a compromise with yourself to say, like, all right, is this something that is worth sacrificing, whatever it may be, right? Is this something I can kind of just say, okay, I can move past this in some way? And as you have children, they also really start to change your dynamic of how you're going to, it's like, oh, you think you have a plan? Okay, no, we're going to change all that, right? And life has its way of doing that as well, right? Yep. Like you know, the old expression, man plans, God laughs, right? Yep. Which I've rephrased to man plans, God aligns. But the idea that you have these things that seemingly make you feel somewhat comfortable, but then you have to step outside of that comfort zone. Or maybe tonight I just go to bed with the dishes in the sink. I know it's like the thought is like, I'm going to lay in bed and just scratch the walls. Because I'm very similar. Like for me, I think it boils down to I can't stop and relax until everything's done. And like the table is set. Yeah. The house is clean. The floors are done. All the work I have to do, whatever it is, and that can always go on forever.
The garbage is at the end of the driveway.
Right. It's just
the boxes in the garage are not all open. You got to line them up.
Yeah. Like so we both are horrible OCD people. And I think a lot of people have little versions of it, but when it gets to that part of it, it's like, whoa.
But the recognizing of it, I think, is the most important aspect. I recognize it. I'm good with it. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. This is who I am. I tell my wife, this is who you married.
Right.
And good, bad, or indifferent, it's like you just learn to accept the person for who they are and love them for who they are. So, like, this is just who I am. Like, no matter what, like, I'm just going to be like that. And I wasn't always like this. My father told me, my father passed away in 2009. And before he passed away, he had throat cancer. So he was diagnosed March 2008. He passed February 2009. So it was quick. He had I think it's a laryngectomy, I believe, where they pull out your vocal cords. So he wasn't able to talk anymore. My father was a big communicator. He felt that the pen was mightier than the sword. He'd rather talk his way out of things than, deal with fist or violence. So him not being able to talk was super. We thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen. Little did I know that my father was not going to just stay shut, right? He just started writing. So every time I'd go see him, he would write on these big yellow pads. So what we thought was the worst thing that could possibly happen to him turned out to be such a blessing, because now I have like this thick full of notes from him.
Wow.
So I go back, and whenever I want to be close to him, or whenever I'm missing him, I go back and I just read it, and it's his words. It's not. I don't have any recordings. I don't have any videos. My dad was not, podcasting or doing any of this stuff. But I have these yellow notepads. So every time I go back and I read the notepads, one of the things he said to me is, as you get older, you will notice more of my qualities showing up in your life. And he was a dish fanatic. And that's just a small example of how that shows up. And I feel like by recognizing that, I'm honoring him.
That's beautiful.
And that's just something that it's who I am. It's who my father was. It's who I am. And another thing just about my father is we wear this band right here. This band comes from Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Every color represents a different type of cancer. So my brothers and I and my mom all have one of these. So I wear this every single day from the day he died, February 2nd, 2009 until now. And that keeps him close to me. So whether it's dishes, whether it's how I deal with people, whether it's how I deal in business, how I deal with my wife, how I deal with my kids, whatever it may be, like it's always here reminding me that I should be who I am. And part of that is who my father was.
Yeah, and what a beautiful thing to have to go back to, because as you grow and change, all of the lenses and perspectives that are on those pieces of paper, as much as the words are the same, they're going to take on these different meanings and offer you different insights at different stages of your life.
Yep.
So you have like this living word of your father that you can pass on to your kids and their kids, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so special to me to be able to do that, right? Like, so my father was in real estate. He has an office. My brothers still operate out of that office. So at times, I'll take the yellow notepads and I'll just go sit at his desk. And the office, we haven't changed it a bit. It is exactly how it was the day he died. His files are over there. His books are over there. You see how you've curated this space here? My father curated his office. So I walk in there and it's like a time capsule.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I sit there and I read his words. I sit in his desk. The desk is like from the 1970s. It's not like some new modern desk. And
it's not a standing desk that comes up when your back starts to hurt.
No, it's a big
bulky, like you brown
desk with the uncomfortable
It's got
chair.
the calendar on the top.
He's got like his business cards like in the front thing, before digital business cards. Like,
I love that.
And that's my sort of time capsule. And whenever I am feeling like I miss him, whenever I'm feeling like I'm lost in certain things,
Sure.
I go back there because I realized that after my father died, like there is nobody that that really cares about you more than themselves. Your parents, I think, are the only ones. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
100%.
There's nobody who, like, you would do anything for your kids to be successful and to live the best life. You would die for them.
I told my wife when my daughter woke up with laryngitis, I said, if God came to you right now and said, dude, you can never podcast ever again for the rest of your life, but I'll make her voice perfectly fine, I'd be like this, where do I sign?
Yeah,
like
for this
that.
one day.
And I've done this for 20 years.
Yeah.
For 20 years, I'd give it up in a second. No questions. I wouldn't even have to think.
Yep. So to that degree, like when I lost my father, I said, I didn't realize it, but I was like, there's nobody to go to. There's nobody that will listen to you no matter what, unconditionally, unbiased, non-judgmental. Like, listen, I have 2 older brothers and I love them to death. They have been amazing mentors to me, amazing role models for me. They have stepped up in ways that I can't even explain since my father passed, but you can't fill a father's shoes.
Yeah.
And that was super eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
And having those words and having that notepad is what allows me to then feel like I still have it.
Yeah, amazing. And there's this old, I forgot where I heard it, but it said having children is like having your heart live outside of your body. And it's the best way I've ever heard it phrased because it's literally a part of you is out in the world. And as you grow older, you're like, oh my God, you're out in the world. Yeah. And I see it with my daughter who's 11. It's like the cultural norms, the expectations, the kids in school aren't nice or the this or the that. My son's 6, so he'll show shit in the woods. He don't care. He's like, whatever, but for my daughter, you see it and it hurts her, it kills me, right?
Yeah.
And it's a massive shift that you have to make and realize like they're here to have their own life, and all I could do is just try to keep them in the guardrails. But to have that and to go back to that is such a powerful thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know if it was done on purpose, but my father used to always say he was like the ultimate optimist. What is the silver lining? And you don't always see it in the moment, right? But there's if you go back in hindsight and you look back and those 6-7 months where he couldn't talk and he was frustrated and he was so mad because he would be mad at me, and you could tell when he's mad at me in the letters because everything would be capitals. Everything would be capitals. He fired me in one of the letters.
That's great.
He was like, I don't care if you're, he was like, where were you this morning? Because I was working for him at the time. And I was like, whatever bullshit excuse I gave. I was 25, 26 years old.
Right.
And he's like, I'll tell you what, I don't care. I'm going to make money no matter what. You get to choose whether or not you want to make money too. I'll go find somebody else. He said that to me, and it's in all capital letters, and I was just like, damn, the dude just fired me in writing. So,
That's amazing.
and then there's the ones where it's like, I wish I had more time. I wish, I was a better dad. I wish I showed up to your baseball games. Then there's like letters like that, and it's just like,
Yeah, you get the full gamut.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So you grew up in the real estate family.
yes. My grandfather was a superintendent of 4 city square blocks, 275 units in the Bronx. My father was a property manager, owner, investor, never officially licensed as an agent, but back in those days it didn't really matter so much. My 2 older brothers are in real estate. My cousins are in real estate. My uncle's in real estate. Like,
Yeah.
it was just part of my blood. So I joke with people. And have you ever seen the movie The Super with Joe Pesci?
No.
You should go back and watch it. It's a funny movie, but there's a scene where like his father's the owner of the building, and they like he drags him to go collect rent, and like that's how it was. I was 6, 7, 8 years old, and I was going through the buildings, and okay, the boiler's down. We got to go to the boiler. Christmas morning, like my mom was like, "Where are you going?" And my dad's like, There's no heat on. There's a problem. So like I grew up in that sort of high pressure 24/7 environment.
Right.
At the dinner table, talking deals, right? Like just evaluating a property. Like I could tell you, like with my eyes closed, the value of that building right there. I could say, okay, you got 15 units. Average rent's probably around $1,500 a month. X amount of money per month. Your expenses are probably going to be about 30% of that. In today's market, it would be valued at maybe $2.4 million. How much down payment you're going to need? You're probably going to need about 25 to 35%. So if you do that, then your average cost is going to be X, and then your cap rate is going to be 7.8. So like,
You just went to like a Rain Man mode.
yeah. So like but like that's where I come from, right? But
Yeah.
also it's like, hey, you know what? So you got a steam boiler, right? It looks like your air pressure valve is probably leaking. So what we should do there is we should cap the valve over there and be able to isolate that line right there. And then we'll call the plumber, but the plumber's going to be too expensive. So we should probably call Juan over there, because Juan could just come in and go to the plumbing store and get something to replace that. And then we can get it back going on until we get a real plumber here.
So you see it from all the angles.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And now you're in real estate now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so-
your primary.
Yeah. By trade, I'm a real estate broker, but like I'm an investor. I develop, I manage, I build, I advise people. I don't like to use the term real estate agent. What I like to use the term is advisor. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you were selling your house, like I want to just advise you and tell you like which landmines to avoid, right? You want to get the max value? Cool. So then what we're going to do is you should, paint the living room. You should change a couple windows. You should do this. You should do that. I'm going to advise you along the way, depending on your goals. There's a term, everybody says, oh, I'm getting listings. Like, no, you're not getting listings. Listings is like an old school sort of, most people don't even know where the term comes from. It comes from back in the day, like if you wanted to sell your house, you would write it down on a piece of paper, you'd go down to the local mart, and you would list it up on the board.
Oh, wow.
That's where that comes from. But what I like to say is that we're just helping you maximize your equity. If there is any.
Yeah.
And I like to advise
Asterisks, if there is any.
if there is any.
Right.
So yes, I'm in real estate. It's what I do. It's what I eat shit, breathe real estate 24/7 hours, 24/7, 365.
I love that.
And I podcast.
Yeah, well, you have how many podcasts do you do?
Well, my main podcast now is the Padernacht podcast, Brick by Brick, and it's allowing people.
The one I was in the basement locked in for.
Yes, correct. and I was talking to Nate before we started shooting, and he was like, "Well, what's your podcast about?" And I've come to terms with explaining it like this: every single person has a story. Every single person has untapped potential. Every single person has genius inside of them. Do we care enough to give them a platform to discuss it? No matter what it is, whether it's the janitor, whether it's the lady that is scanning your groceries, whoever it may be, everybody has a story. And
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued by people's stories and want to give them a platform. and allow people to learn from that and build their life brick by brick.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, one of the again, the benefits of sales, and you could see it pretty quickly and very often with salespeople, is their ability to, like we're saying, adapt, but then there's this interpersonal part of it. Like, when do you shift and when do you ebb and flow in between the sale and the person, the sale and the person? I remember I was leaving one dealership. I went to a little bit more of a prestigious brand, and the guy was like, "Oh man, you've been at this store for 10 years and, talking about cars." I was like, "Yeah, I don't care about cars." He's like, how do you not care about cars? You're in the car business. I was like, "I'm a people person.
Yeah.
I can care less. I don't know about torque. I don't even know about I can care less.
How many horses are in that car?
Yeah, exactly. I have no clue. I don't care. It just doesn't, but I'm good with people.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the compliments that has resonated with me over the years was this woman I sold the car. She's like, "You sold me a car, but you never sold me a car." Because it was never about the car.
Yeah.
It's never about the thing.
Yep.
It's about they're buying you.
Yes.
Right? Do they believe in you? Are you a
Yes.
bullshitter? Are you a stereotypical real estate agent, car salesman, X, Y, and Z? Do you fall into that umbrella? Or are you just a people? Like, are you there for the, and I'm there like you, I'm there for the interpersonal relationship. I like to know about your story. I genuinely am interested in your kid's soccer game. Like, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So when you can have that lens, sales is a very easy place to be. But going back to the post that you had today, there's this other element to it that is practically insane.
Yes.
It's practically insane.
It is insane. Sales is insane. And just to your point, I don't want to say this lightly and just be bullshitting on your podcast, but like, the money will come as long as you put the people first. And your goal, if you want to sell your house, your ultimate goal, why do you want to sell your house? Well, I want to sell my house because I want to move down to Florida. Why do you want to move down to Florida? Well, because I can't stand the taxes that I'm paying here. Okay, well, why is it you can't stand the taxes? Well, because I don't have the money to be able to send my kids to a good school. There we go. It's about your kids, and it's about the emotional decision. It has nothing to do with anything else. So when you bring that, once you go 3-4 layers deep in sales, you're able to always bring that out, because then when we're faced with 2 different offers, I'm able to say, "Hey, Vinny, remember, this is not about this sale. Don't get too caught up on the numbers. What this is going to do is it's going to get you down to Florida, so that way your kids are able to go to better schools, and little Sally and Jimmy are able to grow up and have better chances at colleges."
Right.
And by doing that in sales, that connection between the pain and the decision, I feel like bridging that gap is what a good salesperson is supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate that in any of these sales roles, and I think you see it now, especially in the world of like coaching, right? Like coaching or any of these personal development spaces, right? There is this bad actors, right? There are people that present or come across, and salespeople and all these, it's just so prominent in these worlds. And then when you do come across and say, "Listen, it's not about that, it's really about this," then the guard goes up, right? Yeah. And it's like, "Well, you just want to make your commission," and blah, blah, blah. I remember I sold a car one time, and this person said to me, it was flats in the car business, and where at the store I was at particularly was $75 flats. So if you sell a car for not making any profit, north of invoice, you get a flat. You get $75.
Okay. Flat rate.
You get a flat $75.
Commission.
That's it. That's all you get. And I remember, and the store I was in was a very high, so you sold a lot of flats, right? And then you hit a couple singles and doubles, whatever. And I remember this guy said to me, he's like, "What are you making, like $3,000 on this sale?" And I was like, "Sir, I never talk about what I make in a sale, but I'll let you know, I'll make $37.50 after taxes." Like, legitimately.
Yeah.
I'm making 37, and I'm giving you a lot of time. I didn't say that part of it, but that's like the back behind it, right? So I think that there's this disconnect because, again, as the seller of the house or the purchaser of the car or the client to the coach, you want the best. You want the best outcome, whether it be financial, emotional, spiritual, physical. But there's this delta gap between your connection to the person and your result, right? Because you're in it, everyone's in it for themselves, and a good deal is fair for everybody.
Or everybody loses.
Right.
Everybody, a good deal to me, I've been taught.
See, everyone says the opposite. Everybody wins.
No.
Right.
Everybody has to feel like they lost a little.
Yeah.
I gave up a little bit, so did they. You know what? All right, life is fair.
Yeah.
Not we all won. Like,
Right.
yeah, okay. It's very rare that a deal where everybody wins.
Right.
Because honestly, like in today's society, like when you're dealing with, especially in real estate, when you're dealing with a bank loan, the bank is
The bank's always winning.
exactly. The bank hardly ever loses.
The bank's always going to win.
The bank is always going to win. It's like Monopoly, right? Like,
Sure.
So, like in a transaction, the seller gives up a little bit, the buyer gives up a little bit, the
bank gives up nothing.
The bank gives up nothing.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The attorneys even at times end up negotiating a little bit, and they end up losing a little bit. But like, there's certain people in a transaction, the buyer and the seller. I personally feel like everybody should feel like they compromised a little bit.
Yeah. So you host the podcast, and then you host 2 other podcasts.
Yeah. So, yes. So I have really taken to the Gary Vaynerchuk school of thought, where like just create a media network around yourself. And I realized that like I have all of these different passions, so I want to talk about them, right? So the Padernacht podcast is I guess you can call it my flagship. Right, I do that with Claudio at Akai Visions, and big shout out to Claudio. He's an
amazing
producer
great setup
and great person.
Yeah,
like a genuine good person.
Love that.
And then so recently I've launched what's called the Bronx Real Estate Market Report, and I was able to get an in-studio production license with BronxNet. So my first episode is actually airing. I don't know when this is going to come out, but early May is when the first episode will air. Once a month, think the 5 o'clock news / Sports Center, but strictly Bronx real estate.
Yeah. When you say that, I think the news wire. I don't know why it comes up. You should have that little sound effect.
That's part of the producing aspect that we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
So that's a second one that is launching, and then more recently that has actually coming out in late April. Again, I don't know when this is going to air. Is the Inside Westchester Soccer. So I've partnered with Westchester Soccer Club. And we're going to host a podcast where we dive deep into the players themselves and learn where they come from, their background, their stories as individuals. So that way the fans in Westchester County can learn more about the player themselves and to help build that fandom around them.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, again, it's so cool to be able to have these different expressions of what you like to do, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes, when you could tap into the fun of that.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, it's work. It's like we were here late last night till 12 up, but this is the fun part, right? This is the part I get to get the juices are flowing, you're going. It's like, and then when you could do that in different avenues of your life that you have interest in, people, real estate, Westchester Soccer Club, it becomes, again, this whole arc of who you are, right? It's all these, when people come in here, I'm like, yeah, this is my soul in a room. Like, welcome to inside of me, right? This is it. So when you get to express that and bring that to the world, and it's received in a way, it's validating in a lot of like humanistic need ways, but the internal validation and the feeling you get from that is unparalleled.
I saw something on social media the other day, and it said it was somebody who said that they had broken up with their ChatGPT. And the whole premise behind it was like they were using ChatGPT for their social content, and they were following it to a T. But what they realized is that they lost the fun in it. And everything became about creating the content and maximizing the SEO and maximizing the followers and minimizing the unfollows and whatever the case may be. And I thought it was very interesting. And I realized that like my social content is very similar to that. Like when it stops being fun, like I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to. I know some people say to grow your following and treat it like a job, but like I also want to have fun at doing it. And one of the things that we talked about, one of those 8 things, was like. Talking about the fun aspect of it and how we enjoy sales is about doing what we want to do and doing how we want to do it, like living life on your own terms. I feel like your social content should just be an extension of that, and it shouldn't feel like a job. Yes, treat it like it is, like serious, like it can help grow your business and change your life, but have fun doing it. Sales, I have fun doing it. Podcasting, I have fun doing it. Talking to people, I have fun doing it. Networking, not so much. I'm like you, like that introverted extrovert. Where it's like, okay, at a networking event, like, all right, I'll start over by the bar, and these days I'm not really drinking much, but I'll get a club soda or whatever, and then I'll work my way over to where the food is, and I'll find 1 or 2 people, and I'll kind of sit in a clique. I don't like going up to people that I don't know and just spark. I hate small talk. If that sounds.
No, it doesn't. It does. Small talk is exhausting.
I want to talk about real shit.
Yes.
I want to talk about your life. I want to tell you about my life. I want to know about your business. I want to know about your kids. I want to know about all that shit. I don't give a fuck about the weather. I don't.
Yeah.
I surely don't want to talk politics with anybody.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
I don't want to talk politics. Religion, I like talking about just to learn about other religions and how they see God.
Yeah.
But I'll never sit here and tell you that my God is better than your God.
Right.
Even if you've got multiple gods.
Right.
I'm never going to, I want to learn about those gods. I want to just, so that way I could use it in my life. I feel, I'll never sit here and judge you for your religion. But yeah, small talk is not something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, me neither. What were you like as a kid? Was this something that was like, did you have this kind of energy too as a kid? Like what were you doing as a kid?
So as a kid, I was, so I started in public school in the Bronx until 5th grade. Public school got really bad in like the late 80s. And
what school did you go to?
PS 95.
Okay, yeah.
My mom took me out of PS 95 and put me into private school, visitation, from 5th grade, it's basically junior high, 5th through 8th grade. And when I went to, a big shout out to my boy Chris, Sean, and Drew, but I met them. Chris I knew prior. He was the best man at my wedding. But I met Sean and Drew at visitation. Those are the closest friends in my life to this day. What were we like? We were a bunch of knuckleheads.
Yeah.
We were at, again, 5th, 6th grade, we're walking to school, right? Trying to see what trouble we can get into, taking as long as possible to get home because we're hanging out on the way. Maybe somebody would sneak a cigarette from their dad and we would smoke a cigarette just to say that we did it. We were going through puberty, so we were, hitting on girls and trying to figure that aspect out. But I had a close group of friends and we stayed close and we all had each other's back and we're still friends to this day.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe similar, right? Like I had my tribe.
Right.
I didn't really go too far outside of that. Now that I've gotten older, everybody kind of has gone in their own direction, right? Like the group chat is the most active.
Right.
But we don't see each other. So I do seek that social connection and I do seek learning about people. And what I've learned that my true passion is just helping people. Yeah. I feel like I'm not a know-it-all by any means, but I do know a lot and I would love to share it. So by talking and engaging in real topics, real conversations, I'm able to at least impart some sort of wisdom, not because I'm better than you, but because I want to share it.
Right.
So sharing is caring.
Yeah, exactly. I teach that stuff. What's that book? Everything I learned in kindergarten, I think it is. It's like everything important I learned in kindergarten. Or first grade maybe. I think it's kindergarten actually. But yeah, I say it all the time. Like the one thing I know is I know nothing. Like I say that all the time. I know nothing. I know a lot. And I remember I was working with this young gentleman and he said, man, you're so simple. And he didn't mean like in like simple. He meant like you're just not like you don't. I said it's taken a lot of complexity to become this simple. Like it's taken a lot of introspection and work on myself and relationships with the world that has brought me to a place where I can operate at a pretty simple level. I know myself well enough. And to me, that's come through meditation, that's come through sensory deprivation, that's come through journaling. Do you do anything to get more introspective?
I do. And, I learned this probably, I'd say maybe about a year or two ago, meditation. And I used the Calm app.
Yeah. And
right before we walked in here, my morning routine is so on the gym. So I'm an early morning riser, right? So I'm just going to give you my morning routine.
Yeah.
Early morning riser, usually up between 4 and 5 a.m. I get up, I drink about, 8 to 16 ounces of water. If my clothes aren't ironed, I get my clothes ready. I get my meals ready. I go to the gym. On the way to the gym, I'm listening to some sort of Eric Thomas, David Goggins, Jocko, somebody to motivate the fuck out of me.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
That sort of savage, sort of fucking.
I don't get that. I get it. I understand it. But for me, and I want you to finish the morning too. But I think I rode that wave, and I'm kind of on the other side of it, where I'm like, All right, I'm more of the warrior in the garden than the, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I use it.
Yeah,
as a
yeah, I get it.
tool.
Yeah.
So on the way to the gym, I'm drinking my pre-workout.
So you're fucking, you're going. Yeah, all right. Maybe
So
I need pre-workout.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm missing
Yeah,
in the,
so, I'm
prep.
listening to that on the way to the gym. The gym's usually 15, 20 minutes, right? On the way to get to the gym, listening to that. Then once I get there, I push my body in some sort of fashion. Right now, big shout out to Pat Damiano.
Yeah.
On the Project Bellplex.
Yeah, Pat's been on
for
the
the
podcast.
third time.
Love Pat.
So then after that, it's all about the mind. So I go in and I do the sauna for 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm listening to the Calm app. Also, I will throw on like a quick 3 to 5 minute prayer, and then so that calms me,
Yeah.
right? And then boom, cold plunge.
Yeah.
That gets me back up.
Yeah, cold plunge is amazing.
Yeah, and then I show up here, and that's how that 2 to 2.5 hour routine. I could probably get it done in an hour if I needed to, but that 2 to 2.5 hour routine in the morning is what allows me to stay grounded throughout the day when those ebbs and flows come, when those peaks and valleys come. I just breathe. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and like most kids, because I was forced to go there every day, I ran away from it once I was given free will at 17, 18 years old. I said, I'm fuck this. Why? I don't got to go anymore. My mom's not telling me I got to go. All right, cool. I'm not going. But now as a 44-year-old, I find myself going back to my own journey with God, my own relationship with God. I went to Fordham Prep High School, which is a Jesuit school, and one of the main things that they teach you there is that your relationship with God is unique. It doesn't have to be what everybody else's is. As long as you have that relationship, as long as you believe that Jesus, rose from the dead and that he was, the Son of God, and you live by the, golden rule, which is do unto others as you want done unto yourself, you have a great relationship with God. So I go back to that, and I do incorporate prayer in my life now, and that's what keeps me kind of grounded and able to overcome those ebbs and flows.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love that morning routine. I had my own stretch of that at one point. It was like, same like run a 5K every morning, cold plunge, sauna, and I loved it. I found so much. I could tell you that right now in this current season of my life, I'm so getting tired of using that terminology and hearing it, but it is a good phrasing for it.
Chapter.
Yeah, chapter. Sure. I like chapter back. Good shift. In this current chapter of my life, it's just not in the cards, but I do see the value in it. So I do, and I'm definitely I'm on way more edge than when I was. Like when I was doing that, I was like, okay, there was a different tone to me. Yep. And now being out of that chapter in this chapter where it's like building the next Agora and doing all this stuff, which we've kind of discussed in the past, it's like, again, maybe this is the David Goggins bullshit excuse I give myself, and I'm good with that I call them valid humanistic excuses, because at the end of the day, they have both merit and validity. I'm tired. I was here till 12 o'clock. I woke up early. I have 2 kids, and that's also an excuse. Yes. So I understand the paradox of that, and I live that, but I also lean into this is just where I am right now, and can I radically shift it? Yes, but I also am okay with, who wants to be okay, but I'm okay with where I am, and I'm just living in this chapter.
Well, I think as long as you're doing some important things, I think as long as you're, and again, I don't know if you're religious or not, but you have some sort of relationship with God. Yep. As long as you're putting that in the forefront. Yep. As long as you are helping yourself physically and mentally in some sort of capacity. Right. And showing up and taking care of your responsibilities as a father and a husband, there's nothing else really. All that other extra shit.
Well, it becomes the social media game, right? And not in the sense of like social media, like, look at me, I'm taking my cold plunge today. Yes, that's a component of it. We all see it. We all get it. Okay, fine. But then it becomes like this internal social media game, because it becomes like the algorithm of your mind. And you're like, well, I should be doing that. Right? Even if I'm not posting it, and look at me, there's this level of knowing, especially having the experience to pull from, to say, oh, this was serving of my life. I need to get back to it. And it's just not right now.
Not in this chapter, bro.
Right. And I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I've come to terms with it. Yeah. It's not ideal, but I've come to terms with it.
I've had some beautiful chapters. I've had some ugly chapters. I've had some disastrous chapters. I've had some healthy chapters. Yeah. We are all just one big book. And I think that Joe Rogan, I think he was the one that said it, was imagine that you have a film crew following you around all day long and like be the hero of your own story.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means that you're in this chapter and you're doing what you got to do. Like, I always tell people to give themselves grace.
Yeah.
You're not, people are, as long as you're not like out here like doing really malicious things to people on purpose,
Right.
and you're living in God's sort of shadow that he wants you to live in. And again, that's just doing unto others as you want done unto yourself. If you follow that rule, everything else will just fall into place.
So what was your shift in religion for you? Was there a moment that stood out to you that you're like, oh, this is a new, or was it just kind of this slowly getting back into it?
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't know. It was not one thing. Like I couldn't pinpoint one specific thing. Maybe it was just a group of things. Maybe it was just the ease of just going onto the internet and just like popping in. Hey, you know what? I don't know what to say to God. Listen, if you asked me to recite the Hail Mary right now, I probably couldn't do it. The Our Father, I probably couldn't do it.
Fordham did a terrible job.
Well, but that's like so. Like, but what I could do is I could tell you that what my prayer is to God every single night.
Yeah.
And I learned this again from my father. I talk a lot about my father because he was so impactful in my life. But you know, he was Jewish. My mother was Catholic.
Amazing. My grandmother was Jewish. My grandfather was Catholic.
Yeah.
So I know that that dynamic.
Yes, it's a little different when the wife is Catholic.
Yes, but my grandmother, oddly enough, she had to sign paperwork that she would raise her kids Catholic because in both faiths, it's the exact opposite, right? In the Catholic, you raise and then...
Yeah. So we were raised Catholic. My
Yeah.
father, because my mother was such a strong Catholic. She grew up in the church.
That's what my grandma believed. She was like, my grandfather was way more practicing.
Yes.
So she's like, all right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
my father would come to midnight mass.
Amazing.
My father would listen every single morning, and I don't know if you know who this is, but Robert Schuller. Look him up when you leave here. And anybody who's watching, look up Robert Schuller, right? The Crystal Cathedral. He was from the school of like Billy Graham and like those sort of like pastors. And every single Sunday morning, Robert Schuller would be on the TV, and I'm saying to myself, like, my dad is Jewish. Why is he listening to this Catholic guy? And it was because the only difference between Jews and Catholics, and I like to simplify things, right, is that they just believe that Jesus rose from the dead.
Right.
Beyond that, like all the principles are still the same.
Yeah.
Do good for people, be there for people, right? Like, so he taught me that the relationship with God is your own.
Yeah.
My father was a Jew listening to Catholic prayers. He just didn't take the Eucharist.
Right.
And that sort of, as I got older, again, going back to the notepad, like I will see more of his qualities in my life. And I think that that's just what this is.
Yeah.
Me defining my own relationship with God and realizing that I needed it.
Yeah.
Realizing that I feel good when I'm talking to God. I feel good asking for forgiveness. I feel good, thanking him and praising him in my own way. I don't need to post it on social media. I don't need to tell people about it. I just do it because it feels good for me and who I am as an individual. And I'm very comfortable in my own OCD skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Vinny Brusco, founder and CEO of Agora Social Club. I'm also all of these things. Agora Social Club is Westchester County's hub for guys' mental fitness. Let me show you how we're revolutionizing the future of men's mental health. All accessible via key fob as a member, Agora Social Club seamlessly blends the community, comfortability, and convenience of a coffee shop, community workspace, gym, and recovery center. Since opening in April of 2024, Agora Social Club has helped hundreds of guys become better men. Through our men's groups, dads groups, community ruck walks, and 5Ks, guys are finding a deeper sense of connection through community. But don't just take my word for it. Check out our 5-star Google reviews where guys are sharing their transformative experiences. So what's next? We're looking for an investor to help us build Agora 2.0, a flagship location located right here in Larchmont, offering our members even more space, more amenities, and more community. By the end of 2030, we're targeting multiple locations in 4 major U.S. cities. We're excited to share our vision of the future of men's mental fitness.
For me, and I've shared this story before, but for me, my daughter was going to the process of sacraments. She was going to religion for communion, and I said to my wife, we need to start going back to church. Like, we agree, like it's something we want to start doing just for her, and obviously we want to set that precedence in our household. And the Monsignor at the church we go to, I had breakfast with him last night. He's been on the podcast. awesome dude. He said, remember when you come up to receive, you're receiving the God who created the universe. And my mind was like, boom. And I looked at my wife and said, I'm going to receive. And she's like, what? I was like, I'm going to receive. Because at that point, I was spiritual.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, there's something out there, and it's the force, or it's source, and I didn't use the word God, right? And I think it is because that staunch upbringing in a Catholic school from St. Lucy's to Salesian of being like, gotta go to church, sign the card, you're a bad person. And it was this top-down approach to religion, and it was rules-based. It wasn't about a being, it wasn't about how you showed up in the world. It was like, no, you did that wrong. That's another one.
We're 7 Hail Marys.
We're stacking up here, buddy. Like, you know what I mean? And then the Monsignor at the church, and I also developed a relationship with Andy from Trinity, pastor over there. It became this new relationship with God. And having children, it's the ultimate realization of what that relationship truly is. It's this unconditional depth of love, acceptance, forgiveness in this way that you can't even put into words. And when you shift that mindset of, I'm just doing all these bad things and I just got to keep on fighting it, be good, or I am good, I'm loved unconditionally, and it's okay if I make mistakes, and I'm flawed as a human being, because that's what we are. We're flawed. It becomes a whole different shift in mindset.
Well, we're all born with sin.
Exactly.
And understanding that, it's not like we're born as bad people.
But that's the cultural, like, you hear the word sin, you're like, oh, I'm a bad person. And even up until, more recently, we do the Bible think tank here, and Andy comes in and he offers such great insight, and he's a great sparring partner with religion. I was like, yeah, but like my brain can't wrap around like we're born with sin. He's like, no. You're thinking of sin in the human construct. You have to think of it in this other way. But continue.
Yeah. So if we all just understand that we're born with sin and we're perfectly imperfect, I feel like it just makes things so much easier to be able to get by day to day. And I thank God, but really thank my mother. And I understand it's through God that my mother had the foresight to force me into going to church and getting the sacraments and going to Catholic school and going to CCD and when I was in public school and going to a private high school, because that foundation is still inside of who I am today, and it's what allows me to have that relationship with God. And if I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't have this relationship with God.
Yeah. I think it becomes this journey, right? As you said, you leave the nest and you kind of have to go, you to some degree, for some people, you have to go out in the world and kind of just be like floating around with no real direction or pull and no pillar, right? Like you create these social pillars, like, financially and health and all these things. And you start to think that you're the creator of these pillars, right? You've built these pillars in your life. And a buddy of mine, a good friend of mine, was like, you have 4 pillars in your life right now. You need the 5th one. You need the center, right? You need the center, which is God. Like you need that, because if one of those pillars goes, you have a lopsided table. Right? But if you have that one in the middle that's holding up really is holding up everything, then anything can go and you're still complete. And I was like, oh man.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah. I was like, dude. And this was early on in my faith journey. And, he was one of the people that he was, we started talking. He was talking about, I was like, thinking about reading the Bible. He's like, oh, yeah, let's read the Bible every day. I'm like, what? Really? How do you do such a thing? How do I read the Bible? Because
you have a Bible in here?
I do. I do. I have a couple Bibles there. I have a Bible in my bag.
Interesting.
Yeah, I actually have I'll share it with you. It's a men's Bible.
Okay.
So you have the scripture, you have normal Bible, and then at the bottom it has like all these real world interpretations of how this is applicable in your life. And then you can go to like the index and be like, I'm struggling with stress, whatever it is.
Go to this verse.
Go to this verse. Go to this page. But it's all rooted towards men. Right? Like, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with that. So, but at that point, I didn't know how to read the Bible. I still don't know how to read the Bible. I'm learning how to read the Bible.
That's an interesting thing. I was just about to, say that. Like, reading the Bible is not easy.
No.
Because it's written, like, first of all, you have to put yourself in a place that you're reading a story. Right? Moses parted the sea, and the apple, you're reading a story, but then you have to interpret what that story actually means, and like that requires 2 parts.
Right.
I didn't realize growing up that my favorite part, and now I realize it, but like growing up, my favorite part of church was always the homily.
100%.
Because it's the guy, it's the priest, the guy.
It's the dude. It's the dude telling the story.
It's another human being giving his interpretation of the verse that you just read, and it's in layman's terms, and it's so much easier to understand as opposed to hallelujah, and we're going to sing, and I'm going to stand, I'm going to kneel, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm not with all that.
Yeah. So I've shifted my, so the homily, and that's the thing about the Monsignor, the church, his homilies are literally next level. They are, because he uses terminologies and brings in real world relationships you have or dynamics that you have, and whether that be you're a young kid that's struggling with bullying or not making the team, or you're the guy with a great job who lives in this zip code and has this income. He brings it all into the fold, and he really is. I've sat with other people who've been through older folks from the church community, and like I've heard a lot of homilies. His is by far the best. You
know what I think is so interesting, and as you're saying that, I'm just realizing that the priest who's giving the homily, and or the pastor, and or the deacon, whoever it is that's giving you their interpretation of the Bible, has a very difficult job, because there's people in that church. Your target audience is so wide.
It's the biggest. I mean, yeah. You have
got
everyone,
old, young,
everything in between,
race, creed, colors, whatever everything. It is, and you got to try to bridge it for everybody.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about you didn't make the team, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, like you have to hit all these different bases. Your average motivational speaker or person that's giving a speech, like they have a target audience.
Right.
It's usually whatever.
Men 18 to this age who are struggling with this.
Exactly. So you're able to tailor your message. A pastor and or deacon, priest, whatever you want to say, they don't have that. It's just like, hey, we're just all.
But they
here.
do, because they have the human, right? Like
I was just about to say
their audience is humans.
Yeah.
Humans having human experiences. And when he was on the podcast and we were talking, he was told by his mentors in the upcoming, he's like, you should always have the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Explain that to me a little bit.
You have to bridge the world. You have to bridge the real world with the living word, right? You have to bridge these two worlds and say, this is what's happening in people's lives. This is the day-to-day, right? I think Jordan Peterson said, like, life isn't you sipping margaritas on the beach, right? People have the Bible isn't this thing that's outside of you, right? It's the living word for a reason. So when you could bring that into the actual world of what's going on, you don't have to get into politics or this or that, but you could bring into the real world of what's happening in people's day to day. Now all of a sudden it becomes that much more prominent, that much more potent, because you're bringing it into real life scenarios. And he does a magnificent job of doing that.
I actually feel bad for people that don't have a God. I feel bad for people that don't have a relationship with any God, whatever it is, because like if you're just dependent on humans, you're gonna be let down.
100%.
And plus, like, I feel like people always complain about cops, and I am super sympathetic, proud supporter of police.
Dude, my
right?
dad's a retired cop. Jayla Kyle's our CMO, so yes, absolutely.
Who the fuck you gonna call when somebody breaks in your house? You're calling the cops.
Right.
Who are you gonna call when shit goes wrong? God.
Right.
Might as well praise him. Might as well praise. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to compare cops to God, but I'm just saying,
I understand.
That sort of relationship where it's like, if you're dependent on humans and you don't have a God to go to when shit gets tough,
or when things are good, like in both arenas, right? And you also don't want and again, to kind of bring in the mom aspect of things, right? My mom would always be like, I don't want to go to God when I just need something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is a
Praise
great,
him.
like just in good, bad, but always feel that you could have this open line of communication with God and say, hey, listen, I'm going through this thing. And, and it's funny you mentioned the prayer component of it, because in the Bible Think Tank just this past week, I said, I feel like I'm struggling. Like I forgot how to pray in the sense that because my prayers have shifted to almost like, I would kind of always I went to this thing of like go to bed at night, wake up, like what am I grateful for? Right? And they became these check boxes. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my kids. And I am truly grateful for these things. But how I shifted the gratitude component was I start to think of moments of that gratitude. right? So if I say I'm grateful for my health, well, I'm grateful I got to move my body jiu-jitsu today, or I'm grateful for the time I felt like shit and I had the flu and I came out of that, or I'm grateful for my kids and I think of like my son's face of a screenshot that like deathbed moments, right? I'm grateful for my wife and whatever is the warmth of her hug or whatever it is. And that really brought me into a state of gratitude. And that's something I'm actually actively working with prayers, like versus me being like, all right, God, thank you so much for these things and blah, blah, blah. It's like I want to get into like this depth. And that goes into the Bible reading because, in doing the podcast of the Monsignors, like when you read the Bible, right, every word
matters.
Like you have to go into the word, the word. And, he also does this, he was explaining that it's like you put yourself in the scene, right? You were kind of alluding to it, like you put yourself in, who are you? Are you the bystander? Are you Christ? Are you this person? Are you that person? What are they going through? What's their experience in this world that's happening? So it's an immersive experience.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's like it's an immersive experience. And it's also really hard to wrap your head around.
Yes. So just to your point, right? Like I watched, have you watched House of David?
I have not. I watched some of The Chosen.
Yeah. So I haven't seen The Chosen yet, but House of David was super interesting. Not because it was the story, not because of the actors or whatever it is, just seeing the Bible, seeing the stories, the story of David and Goliath, like seeing it, just gives it a different perspective.
Sure.
Because we've heard the story of David and Goliath, the slingshot.
Yeah.
But actually seeing it and saying, wait a second, like they could probably write a movie about every single page of the Bible and it'd be super interesting.
Of course.
And when you think about it, and to your point about making it immersive, like actually putting yourself in that place, I need to do this more. I don't do it enough. But like when you look at the Bible as a living, breathing sort of thing, and you could put yourself into that story, I think that people will get more out of it. Yeah,
of course. I mean, I think of The Chosen in that regard. I've watched season 1, part of season 2. Again, it was, ebbs and flows of things.
It's a story of Jesus, right?
Yeah. And
is it him like as an adult or is it him?
Yeah. Him as an adult. They do some like flashbacks to other people prior or whatever. Yeah. But again, I'm only season 1 and maybe 2-3 episodes in. But it's so cool.
Yeah.
And I explained to people like, how The Dark Knight is a great movie. It just happens to be about Batman.
Yeah.
Right. And you're just like, well, I'm a Batman fan, so that makes it the ultimate. Mm-hmm. This is a great show. It just happens to be about Jesus. Yeah. Like if you made this about anybody else, you're like, this is a great show.
Yeah.
This is a great show. Yeah. It just happens to be about it. It is that good where you're watching, you're like, oh, this is a well-written, well-documented, immersive experience in this timeline of history, and it's about Jesus. And there are some scenes in there that are just goosebumps.
Yeah.
There's one with Nicodemus, and he gets called to kind of go on the journey with him, and he's reluctant in this regard. And he leaves like a thing of gold, and they're about to go on this. Again, Shill's just talking about they're about to go on wherever they're going. Jesus and some of the disciples, and he sees the gold, like, oh, who left this? Must be a friend. And Jesus knows, of course. And he's kind of just sitting there, and he's looking around, and he's waiting for him to come. And they pan to Nicodemus, and he's behind a wall, and he's just kind of watching. And they pan back to Jesus, and they're like, all right. He's like, all right, let's go. And he's like, you're so close. And then they turn back to Nicodemus, and he's just breaking down. He's just because his old life is calling him to like not go on this journey, right? But he knows because he's like, I know this is the Son of God, and he's so drawn to do it. And it's just this moment of tension, and it's just so well done. Think
about how many moments of tension there actually were in those days, where you have this son of a carpenter,
right,
who everybody is saying is this prophet,
right,
and it's like, for them to step out of their skin and follow, right?
Yeah.
Like you see it with Judas,
yeah.
Right? Like he gave him up, right? Like, so we face those same sort of things in our lives too. Do we go the right route? Do we follow our heart? Do we follow what's right or wrong? And I think that people get lost in it. And going back to what I was saying earlier, I feel bad for people who don't believe in a God. Like there's stories, I don't know much about Buddhism, but I'm sure that there's stories there. I'm sure that there's the Viking stories are some of the most amazing stories. Like I was watching Viking and learning about all these gods, and I'm like, holy cow! Like we look at them like savages. But like they were true believers in their gods. And I feel like if you're an atheist and you don't believe in any God, I feel like you're missing out on part of who you really are.
Yes.
Because it's not just dumb luck that we're here. And like there's the whole Big Bang theory, but like, listen, I choose to believe that, Jesus rose from the dead. Is it scientifically proven? I don't know, but I choose to believe it. I choose to believe that God plays a part in us being here, me being able to sit on this couch, me being able to get up every single morning. And if you don't believe that, I truly feel bad.
Well, I think it's also being able, that's what faith is, right? That's this belief in the unforeseen reality of life. And I think that you need to go inward to be able to come outward, right? And for me, a huge part of that journey was this intellectualization of God. I need to understand it. I need to know it and get it and internalize it in a way that's an understanding from experience. And when you start to lean into more faith and realize that it's not about intellectualizing it, it's not about knowing it, but it's about knowing it, right? There's a different layer. It's like, I need to intellectualize, like jujitsu. I'll take that as the parallel. I could see I'll move 100 times. I could try it 99 times. Unless it becomes part of my DNA, unless it becomes part of my skill set and my toolbox, I'm not going to know how to do it. But it's only through practicing it and doing it and being like, okay, this is I could see myself doing a Kimura. Okay, and all of a sudden you do it and you go, oh, it works, right? Yeah. So you have to tap into the frequency and allow yourself to fail at it, wrestle with it, not understand it, be okay with not seeing like, man, he was born of a virgin. That was the start of the Bible think tank. I was reading the Bible. I'm like, born of a virgin. Having trouble with this one, right? And I'm talking to a guy at work, and I'm like, hey, man, I started explaining to him. He's like, yeah, I get it. I can't make that mental leap. And then, luckily, by the grace of God, I met Andy, and prior to that, I said, hey, I want to start this Bible think tank, not a Bible study. We're not reading scripture. I want people to come with questions, concerns, fears, hopes, all of this. And I want to just talk it out, and let's see, And it's been super
interesting.
Yeah, it's been so impactful for me. I mean, I'm for other guys in the room as well.
Well, if guys keep coming back.
Yeah, I mean, and there is this wrestling component that we have. I think that's also Jordan Peterson's. It's called Those Who Wrestle with God or something like that. I haven't read it, but there is it, and that's healthy. Yes. That's a good thing to question God, to sit and go, I'm struggling with this. But then for me, where I've come to is to say, I'm trying to put human restrictions on God.
Yeah.
So if I can't, I'm like, oh, well, I can't believe he was born of a virgin. You're not God.
Yeah.
You also can't create life in the sense that God can, right? So you have to remove yourself, and that's hard. That's a hard leap in your mentally.
You said something very interesting right there. You said that you're able to wrestle with it, and that sort of is healthy, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to make the parallel, because the two things that you're not supposed to talk about are politics and religion. That's how our country was actually built, by having two different parties and being able to, as gentlemen, you believe this, I believe this. Let's wrestle with it.
Yeah.
And let's come up with something that we think is good for the greater good. And I think that as a society, we've gotten away from that in religion and in politics.
100%.
Being able to disagree with what you say, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to just go and be a follower, but being able to do it respectfully. Being able to maybe see your point of view. My father, again, I'll go back to him, said that there's, you got to be able to take yourself out of your own shoes and put the other person's on before you can actually, move forward with something. Right?
Yeah.
I have to understand where you're coming from, and then we can figure out some sort of a common ground in politics and in religion.
100%. And I think that also boils down to you being able to be honest with yourself, because so much of that inability to have a discourse that is respectful and empathetic is you being so tied to your ideas, your vision, what you think is right. Yep. And unless you start to question yourself, and I think you can only get that through something like prayer or meditation or journaling. For me, it's sensory deprivation. Unless you're putting yourself and sitting and going, what do I actually think about that? if you're not challenging your own thoughts to gain further insight and perspective, and you're not throwing that against someone that can offer it, right? If you're not creating that container where you could say, oh yeah, I wonder what I think about these things, you're doing yourself and really the world a disservice. And that's where I think all these things like prayer and meditation, I have the quote behind you, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. I truly believe that. I had that made for a reason because being in isolation is one of the most powerful tools that you could have. And a lot of people fear that silence.
Yeah, I don't fear the silence. As much as, you asked me like what I was like as a kid, and, as much as I had the close group of friends and the people who I'm, am still friends with to this day, like I realized growing up that I needed that sort of time by yourself, right? Like that time with the meditation, the time in the gym. Like I'm not like one of those gym bros where it's like, all right, cool, let's go do a workout together. Like I don't give a I'm not there. I don't go in the sauna and talk. I go in there to meditate. Everything is for a reason. I'm there to get a job done. And isolation, throw my headphones on. I don't really necessarily want to talk to, too many people. I just want to go in there, do my thing. And I use it as a tool. And going back to that isolation, it's super important. And if you can't be by yourself, like the quote says, then you're going to have difficulties dealing with other people.
I think Mike Tyson said on a podcast when he said, it's a very scary neighborhood up here and you're all alone.
Mike Tyson's got some quotes, man.
Mike Tyson is.
Oh, man. Do it. What does he say? He says something like, do things that you hate to do, but do it like you love
Yes,
them.
Yes.
Everybody's got a plan to get punched in the face. Like Mike Tyson.
I got to get some of his up here. I got to get some of his up here.
Mike Tyson was a blessing to society.
Yeah. People don't think he was, but.
Oh, he was.
He was.
And he is still.
I mean, 100%. And I think that's, again, such a beautiful journey, right? We've seen the evolution of Mike Tyson through like the hardest hitting boxer, like just the thought of Mike, talk about Viking, the thought of Mike Tyson hitting you, you can't even wrap your brain around
Being
it.
compared to Ali.
I mean, beyond.
Right. Yeah.
And then the interview with both of them, like, I don't know, but just one of the most feared human beings on the planet, the most dangerous man on the planet. And then and how that all just, without having the mentor by his side, right? Without having that person that truly believed
Once he
him.
lost Customato, right? That was his name,
That was,
Customato?
that was the end of it, right? Because that was someone who took him in, saw the potential and saw the payout of that.
Yep.
But at the same time, from my understanding of it, which is very surface level, it was a very mentor-mentee, father-son relationship that couldn't be recreated by anybody else. And then obviously there becomes manipulation and drug and all that stuff. Yep. But to see that arc of a journey and then to have some banger lines.
Yeah. Like, think about it. Like, he's still here and he's still giving us himself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the guy's been in the spotlight. I mean,
He's 18 years old.
16 years
well,
old.
Yeah, 16 was,
Golden Gloves.
Yep,
and then, like all that stuff. Like 30, 40 years in the public. Anywhere he goes, he's Mike Tyson. Everybody knows who Mike Tyson is.
What's the name about Mike? Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah. That's a Jay-Z line.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he
Jordan,
says Jackson. Right, Tyson. Yeah.
But yeah, like, and to still show up, right? I think now he's a podcast host or whatever it may be. But like, he was accused of rape, whatever, allegedly. I have no idea. I don't know what the PC thing to say is. I have no idea if he did it, whatever. But, like, he was a champion. He lost the belt. He was accused of rape. He went to jail.
Bit someone's ear off.
Yeah, bit someone's ear off, the crazy lines. But yet he's still showing up and he's still accepted because he's perfectly imperfect. And he doesn't allow society to dictate who he is. Like, he's going to be who he is unapologetically. Whether there's mental health issues there, like I think about Kanye West a lot, and his mental health issues.
Sure.
But he is who the fuck he is, man. And like, I feel like if everybody did that and everybody just spoke their mind, now obviously there's balance, right? We're not going to go out here and start, talking about,
X, Y, and Z. Sure,
exactly.
Sure.
But the point I'm trying to make is like, just speak your mind, who you are. Be respectful of people, but don't be afraid to step outside of the box.
Yeah. Where do you think that is? I mean, did you create an atmosphere? Did you have an atmosphere where you could step outside of the box, or was that just something that you kind of developed over your own time?
I've kind of developed it myself just because I realized that, like, I don't like following people.
Yeah.
I have my own thoughts. I have my own vision. I have my own way of doing things, and I realized that when I'm not leaning into what I truly want, then I'm not happy. Yeah. When and I realized this, like, in my 20s, like, we would go to the clubs. I didn't really want to go to the clubs, but I would go because it was like what everybody was doing. And you go there, you drink, you do this, you do it. But like I'd want to leave.
And I think it's funny because I think, sorry to cut you off, but I think if you had asked 9 out of the 10 guys in the group, maybe 10 out of 10, be like, yeah, I don't want to be here either.
Yeah.
Right. But no one has the gusto to be like, yeah, we're not doing, like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Isn't that weird? Because as you're saying that, I think about like just things you do. And then all of a sudden, like, we're all kind of just doing this for the sake of doing this because we think it's what we're supposed to be doing. But at the same time, nobody really wants to be doing this. Yep. But no one has the balls or whatever, or the capacity to say, I don't want to do this.
Yep. One of the things that I really enjoy about my friend group, and we actually, I consider us to be like brothers. I mean, we've all known each other for 20, 30 years, is like everybody kind of has grown into their own skin where it's like nobody's really following anybody else at this point, right? Like everybody kind of just does their own thing. So we'll go out as a group and like one person will come late because he's doing whatever. One person will leave early, and we just allow each other to kind of just be who we are and enjoy the time that we do get to spend with each other. And to go back to your question, I think that I've just developed this over the years. And I think the easiest way is how I answered it before. Like, I was just unhappy when I'm following people.
Yeah.
And I'm happiest when I'm doing what I want to do. And my wife will like to say that, well, you do whatever it is that you want to do. I'm like, you know what, babe? That is true to a degree, but it's also the only way that I can mentally stay sharp. Because if I'm following, then I'm not going to be happy. I'm not a follower.
Yeah. And again, stepping outside the constructs and the norms and expectations, and I think sales, although a conventional job to some degree, is also radically unconventional. And I think that there's so many things that you could take, again, going back to those things that you posted and the listing of it, that teach you that, right? It's weird. It's like in this circumvented way, but you're learning these lessons subconsciously, right? It is unconventional. It is an emotional roller coaster. So you do learn how to think in the sense of, I referenced the meme of the two guys digging, and there's the one with the diamond and the one's turning back. Yep. You do start to bring in these ideas of like, you don't know what's next.
Exactly.
Right? You don't know what's next. And in a long enough timeline, we all like to think that the next thing is right around the corner. We don't know that, but you become comfortable in the discomfort of that.
I would argue that sales, even though some people will say, and that, obviously what I posted, by society standards, it is not conventional, but I would argue that having a 9-to-5 is not healthy. I would argue that like working for somebody else's dream and them telling you, hey, you know what? Your time is worth whatever, $50 an hour. Cool. Yeah. My time's not worth $50 an hour. Nobody could put that number on who I am.
Yeah.
I would argue that. Now, obviously, there's the aspect of security and having a paycheck every single week and 401ks. I would argue that I understand that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not telling anybody what's right or wrong. I'm just telling you that like it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And I need to be able to dictate my future, good, bad, and or indifferent.
Yeah. It's a life by design.
Yeah.
And I think most people do, and I guess, again, reverse engineering people's stories and where they come from and their, I mean, you can go as far back as you'd like, but there are points that bring you to who you are, right? Yep. And you have to honor and respect people for who they are and their visions and what they believe. But I totally agree with you in the sense that what's truly abnormal about it? It's just not your normal, right? It's just not the way you could operate. You mean
sales, right?
Yeah, sales, right? Like, yes,
or business ownership. It's the same thing,
right?
We're all in sales,
right? And that's a hard shift. Like, I'm going to work for myself. Oh no, you still got to sell more than you've ever sold before.
Exactly. Whether you're selling water or you're selling an experience or you're selling whatever it may be, like you're still selling yourself. You're still sales, and that's why I feel like everybody should work in. Like as a waiter or waitress in hospitality, because you learn to serve people.
Yeah.
Everybody should work as a waiter. I truly believe waiter, waitress, busboy, whatever it is, at least for a year or two, just to understand what it's like to serve people. And everybody should learn how to do sales. Just in case.
Humbles you.
Oh, yeah.
It's so humbling.
Yeah. Picking up your napkin, picking up your dish, right?
Yeah.
Like your napkin fell on the floor. Oh, here you go, sir.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, even, I mean, and I'm just bringing it to my experience from automotive sales, the amount of spoonfuls of shit you have to eat, and I'm sure in real estate it's no different. The amount of shit you have to eat is it's enough for a lifetime.
Yeah, I think it's just the getting comfortable, going back to those 8 quotes, is getting comfortable with rejection.
Yeah.
And just knowing and staying confident.
Yeah.
Staying confident in your abilities, because you know you may be broke today, but it's right around the corner.
Right.
And I just got to keep going and keep
Right.
going and keep going and keep going. And it's going to come. You know why? Because God is with me. Because I have confidence in my abilities. I know that if I continue helping enough people, it's going to come full circle.
I love that. You do see a lot of real estate agents, right? You see a lot of them. There are, and maybe it's my algorithm,
We're a
or maybe
dime a dozen.
Maybe it's because I know so many of them, or whatever it is. And there is this, old stereotypical, like, I'm a housewife and I'm a real estate agent. I do this on the side, right?
Yeah.
There's this old guard that's still kind of, I think, omnipresent in the real estate world. I don't know. But what can separate a real estate agent, other than like just the interpersonal part? Because that's obviously a huge part of it. We know that. But what is it that can separate a real estate agent? You're doing the real estate show on Bronx Net.
Yeah.
So like, what can actually remove a real estate agent from just falling into the fray?
I think it really just comes down to knowing your craft. It's what makes a good welder. Knowing how to fucking weld.
Right.
What makes a good realtor is knowing your business, knowing what transaction looks like, knowing what sells houses, knowing what's going on, knowing that the average price point in the Bronx is whatever, $575,000. Right now, average days on market is 42 days. The market is actually a little is sluggish right now because sellers don't want to sell because they don't want to become buyers in this market. Knowing your numbers, knowing your craft is what separates good realtors from bad realtors.
Yeah, from anything else. Yeah.
And on social media, it becomes a game where it's like, hey, I'm just going to repost what this one's posting and this, that, and the third. But where is your opinion on the subject? Where's your opinion on why houses aren't moving in Larchmont right now? Where's your opinion on why the Fed hasn't lowered the rate? Right now, the huge news yesterday was that the Fed decided not to lower the rates, even though POTUS is trying to push him down. He stood his ground and he said, I'm not lowering the rates, even though inflation is up, even though the whole thing going on over there. So where's your opinion on that? Because your buyers are affected by that. Your sellers are affected by that. So when I'm sitting down with you and you're like, oh, man, I don't know if I should buy a house right now. Rates are up. Well, how about my ability to tell you that this chair is not going to be there in June when the next meeting comes around, and odds are he's going to probably lower rates. So it might be a better time for you to wait a month because next month you might get a better rate. Where's your ability to do that? That's what makes a good realtor, being able to understand what's going on and know your craft.
Yeah, but that goes into the component of, and we're kind of touching on it in these outskirts, but being like passionate and enthralled by your craft and what you're doing.
Or educated.
Educated, yes, but education goes so far, right? You can get educated on it. You can know all the cars in the fleet, right? But if you're not into it, right, then there's this disconnect, right? And that's where you have to wrestle with yourself and say, all right, is this in alignment with who I am? And can you separate the wheat from the chaff in the sense that, like, I'm going to show up to work this way, but I really am this way. But when you are fully immersed with who you are and what you do, and the alignment component comes in and starts clicking on all cylinders, you are passionate about it because you are passionate about it, right? Yeah. But you might have a real estate agent who's like, yeah, I sell real estate and it's what I do, and it's just like, but they're not doing the research behind the scenes. They're not doing doing the work that it goes into to have the conversation.
Well, I think, but you had asked me what changes what is the separator, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Now, there's plenty of subpar, or there's plenty of realtors that will do a good job selling your house. It's just a matter of who you want to work with and who you vibe with.
Right.
And I would argue that you should list your home and or choose a realtor to represent your needs that actually cares about you and knows their craft. And that's the separator, I think. There's a stat out there that, like, I think it's like 80% of all real estate transactions are done by the top 20%. It's the 80-20 rule. So 20% of realtors are doing 80% of the transactions. Your average realtor is not even selling a house a year.
Wow.
But yet they're paying for the licensing just to have the ability to be able to do it. And I
Right.
think that that's a microcosm of society where it's like, hey, you know what? I got this thing over here, but I'm afraid to jump off the cliff because I have the security over here. Real estate is a 60 to 90 day business. If you decided to sell your home with me today, I probably won't get paid for 90 days. That's a tough pill to swallow. So you have to have the ability to do that and know that going into it. Maybe have a piggy bank. For new realtors, I always tell them, make sure you got some sort of savings account. And the biggest thing that you're going to do in your business, especially for new realtors, I'm the productivity coach in my office, is tell them, just have conversations with people. A conversation leads to an appointment. An appointment leads to an offer. An offer leads to a closing. You can't get a closing without a conversation. So if you're not having 10 to 20 conversations a day with people who are potential clients, you're never going to make a sale. So when you show up in the office and you're not having 10 to 20 conversations, guess what? You didn't do your job today.
It's a numbers game.
It's a numbers game. Exactly. Yeah.
I do want to be mindful of time. I know you have an appointment to get to.
Yes,
And
gotta go.
Crazily enough, we're coming up on 11 o'clock. So
Really?
yeah, it's 10:42.
Wow.
So
All right.
we've had the
We need a
headphones.
part two.
The headphones add to the vacuum.
Yeah.
First off, thank you so much for doing this. I'm glad you didn't get locked in your basement today. Where can people connect with you? Where can they check out all the podcasts you're doing?
Sure.
This was an absolute pleasure having you.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you to you. Thank you to Nate. This is an amazing space that
Thank you.
you've curated here.
Thank you.
For anybody who has not been here, I highly recommend just stopping in here because it's really like a think tank.
Thank you.
Yeah, and make sure that you shout out this. What's the name of the artist?
Noble Dre.
Noble Dre.
Yep.
His art is amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to Noble Dre.
So you can find me on Instagram, Steve_Pad. Also the Padernacht podcast. Also Padernacht Real Estate. That's just the best way to get me. I mean, I'm not the guy that throws my cell phone out there, but it's there. Just go find me on Instagram. You can get me.
Perfect.
And thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
And this is an amazing space. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing it. I appreciate it.